Ready? We're back with episode 15 of the Here's the Deal podcast, the Max Baker Jr. story. And we're here with special guest Kerry Staton and our historian and fact checker Jeff Brownen, as well as Max Baker Jr. And this episode is a special episode that we wanted to discuss the Midnight Dolls.
It was the Midnight Dolls. What was it, 94? Yeah.
So the original idea of the Midnight Dolls stemmed from the booking of the Hollywood Knockouts at the Yucatan liquor stand, correct?
Yes.
And then this is where you guys decided to make your own version of this.
And, you know, Kerry can go add to this, as basically at that time, you know, we're doing bands, we're doing shows. I have midnight music, and I got with Kerry at the time. Kerry was the manager of Red Dog, and you know, we knew girls that were working, and so they would always, some of our friends, they'd always tell us horror stories about going on the road stripping, and how they would keep their money and not pay him, and just, it was a nightmare. When, you know, it was, and so my bright mind, I'm thinking, hey, we can put together our own, because I had this one girl in my ear telling me, you can do this, you know, you can this. And so what little did I know what nightmare would be years later. But you know, so I got with Kerry, and you know, we had no idea. Basically, Kerry working in the bars, doing being the Red Dog, being the manager, being the DJ. You know, we had that part covered. As far as music goes, we picked the music, we made the themes, and we decided that we were going to have a show, and the idea was to take the concept of a touring rock band.
The Village People.
No, not the Village People.
Wrong rock band.
But, you know...
I just assumed you had a policeman, fireman, construction worker.
No.
We had a teacher. We had a soldier.
Yeah, we had a soldier. We had a nurse.
Totally different.
Nurse.
Totally different than the Village
Because what you got to remember, with the acts, we also added customers, you know, people who would come to the show. We made them part of the show. Mm-hmm. You know, it was like, at first, you know, you got to get your first booking. We got our first booking. Our first booking was at the Ramada Inn.
In Norman, yeah.
In Norman, Oklahoma, where they were having a lingerie show, and we just wanted to go one better and have a strip show. And so, so away we went. You know, and then we started putting, I did all the booking, and Kerry was like the manager, / driver, DJ.
Pimp, whatever you want to say.
You know, counselor.
Not really.
Counselor. And
you also have to get him out of jail?
No, he got me out of jail.
Oh, okay.
And so we rode many roads, and we done a lot. Once we got the thing into high gear, we started rolling, you know, booking shows. And basically what we would do, we'd go into these smaller towns, secondary markets, C markets, and we would take over a bar, and it'd become a strip bar for the night. We'd do a show, and then we started moving around and becoming, you know, the Midnight Dolls, and we becoming a serious. These girls were very serious about what they did. You know, I mean, it was not like, you know, because we'd come up with the idea, and Kerry said everybody gets dull at their job, no matter what it is.
Yep.
And we took it, and we had fun with it. You know, it was like an adventure. I mean, roll up with 5 girls and take people's money.
They'd always roll out the red carpet too. That was surprising.
I mean, that was the cool thing about it, is because I had you know, they had flowers in the dressing rooms, and just, you know, they made us feel good, but because, and we could always tell. I mean, we ended up in we always knew if it was going to be a good night or if we were going to have to hustle. But every night we had to hustle.
Yeah, all the time.
The hardest part though was, it's like everything looks glamorous on one end, but me and him were doing everything. We were doing the driving. We were doing
load in, load out.
Load in, load
and it
out.
It was a pretty big show, actually. It just wasn't 5 strippers showing up. There was a lot of luggage, a lot of costume changes. Yeah,
and
big
so
show.
and we got really good at it. And we had some girls that rode with us that were really good at it, And I mean, it's like some of these women went on to do great things in their life.
Yeah.
I mean, and then some of these women went on to do bad things in their life.
Yeah, and some of them aren't with us anymore.
And some of them are laying in a pine box somewhere. But it's the nature of the business.
Yeah.
But we as our travels went down the road, I mean, me and Kerry, we're brothers.
Yeah, I always have been.
Brothers from other mothers, and sometimes you're not going to agree to everything, and things aren't always going to look that way, and I mean,
Both agree that you met Barney Fife while we were on the road.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
I can give you this one story about that I'll never forget, and it was. So, me and Kerry have a love for ZZ Top. We love ZZ Top.
Yeah, we have.
I mean, worship ZZ Top. And we used to always go down to Victoria, Texas. We'd go there 3 times a year, but the third time would always be around Christmas. That's how we got our Christmas money. We'd go down there for a week.
Wow.
And and plus it was warm, and we'd go to the ocean.
Yeah.
And so on the way back, we'd always look for weird ways to go. And we'd figured out that we could go through Grange to get to 35. And so here we go. We're driving, and one thing we had trained everybody to do was we never stayed. We became like a rock band. We never stayed after we did a show at the city, very rarely, unless we were doing multiple nights.
Right.
And so we wanted to get out of there. So here we go. We're rolling through Texas, and crack of dawn, school kids. We're rolling through Grange, Texas.
Redbud. Was it Redbud, Grange County, Redbud?
Yeah.
Texas.
And Kerry's driving.
No, you were driving. I woke up because of your driving, and and I got behind the wheel. And, of course, I'd been drinking a little bit the night before, and I probably smelled a little like whiskey, whatever. And I'm doing 40 in a 60, and I get pulled over by this officer or Cub Scout, whatever you want to call him. And he takes me to the back of the van. There's 5 girls. Max looks like a Mexican. So we got a Mexican, 5 girls, and myself, and I had real massively long hair at the time. And a hippie, right? And here's this cop, and he's like, he had a canteen on his belt. And I'm not lying. He had a canteen on his belt with his gun. He had his hand on his gun the whole time, and he was shaking. And I thought, oh, no, this isn't good. And he goes, so where are you going? I said, we're going to Oklahoma. Where are you coming from? And I said, we're coming from... Where was we at?
Victoria,
No,
Texas.
but we went to Padre Island.
Yeah.
Padre Island. He goes, South Padre? And I'm like, is there a North Padre? And so he arrests me for no state driver's license. I had an Oklahoma license, but I didn't have a Texas license. And I don't know what kind of criminal... I don't know if you guys ever been to Valley Brook, but it's kind of like Valley Brook. They just had their own little...
They made it up as they went.
Exactly. So he puts me in the car... And he takes me to the police station, which was a garage apartment. I'm not lying. It was behind a house, a garage apartment. And he's trying to get a hold of the person at the police station by hitting these little walkie-talkie or whatever on the dash of the car. Going, and he kept hitting it, and he finally gets him. I'm bringing him in. So we get there.
But it's like he told him, hey, dude, and he told us, he goes, this ain't no Barney Fife
Yeah,
town.
he goes, don't think this is Mayberry, is what he said.
Yeah, you boys might think we had a killing here last week.
Yeah, and the sheriff on
You
the
know,
other
and
side of that door working
and
it
so
out.
You got the girls in the van sleeping, and I
They were
had
scared.
a conversion van, and it had the window to where you could keep it open to get air. So they're yelling out at like 7 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
What the hell's going on? And
Look at his haircut.
You're waking me up. And then the guy tells me, we're going to detain Mr. Staton, and you're going to have to follow us to the, he said, we're going to court this morning.
This is Sunday morning.
And so I follow him to the courthouse and whatever house it was. Like he said, a garage apartment.
It was a garage apartment.
I mean, a
straight up.
simple garage apartment. And so we're waiting. He's inside. We're outside. And the judge pulls up in a brand new caddy with his robe on, gets out. And I go in there, and he goes up.
Wait. You came in by kicking the door open. You were eating something, a hot dog or something you had in your hand, a cup of orange juice. He goes, "What's the deal?" and it scared the hell out of Barney.
Here's the deal.
Yeah. No, he said, "What's the deal?"
What's the deal?
What's the deal?
So to get him up, the judge comes in, court's in possession. And he said, Mr. Staton, he didn't ask him what you done. He didn't ask him what it was. He asked him one question. How much money do you have?
Oh, wow.
And the guy said, Kerry says, $750, because we just made money. We were coming home.
Let me guess, that was the exact amount of the...
Well, $752.
Oh, so you were $2 short.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I didn't make all
$2.
it. Anyway, yeah. And he says, "So
and
what do
it's
you
like,
do? You
but-
plead guilty or not guilty?" And
I
I'm like, "What's the difference?" He goes, "Guilty, you stay here till Tuesday when your arraignment will be." I'm like, not guilty. You stay here till Tuesday. I'm guilty.
Guilty as charged.
They
Let me out
forced
of
you
here.
in it, and it was like, we were there maybe, an hour?
Maybe an hour, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this was all done like, And
it was a scam.
And you talk about letting the air out of the balloon. We're coming up all great.
Yeah,
It's like
man.
we roll off, and I say, "Hey, dude, had to see LaGrange."
Oh, yeah. Yay.
So,
So Kerry, how many times during the Midnight Dolls did you go to jail?
That was the only time that I went. Yeah.
yeah,
What about you, Max?
Threatened a few.
See,
See?
there come a time during this that we got a little burnout. Kerry and me got a little burnout. And we kind of split ways, and I continued it on.
Wasn't it over a bottle of whiskey?
No.
No.
No, I drank whiskey. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was left
I don't
off
know
the
if you can
rider.
hear
And you
me.
got. I thought you got mad at the. I thought you got mad at the people in the bar because they didn't fulfill the rider.
we were in Killeen, Texas, and it just,
Killeen,
what?
Texas.
It just came to the point where he said he didn't want to do it anymore. It's not on there.
His headphones went out.
What happened to him?
Yeah. It's
And
not working.
so, I continued on. And how many times did I go to jail?
A few, huh? Maybe.
I went to jail in
There it is.
almost in Louisiana.
Almost in.
I got arrested in South Dakota.
We almost went to jail the first time there.
Uh-huh.
We got ran out of town, escorted.
Yeah. And South
Escorted
Dakota,
to the edge of town?
In
Yeah,
South,
by the
Dakota,
way.
Oh, that's cool.
in South Dakota, we got arrested coming in. We were there for like a month. No, not a month, probably a couple weeks.
Couple weeks. Yeah.
And it was like, everybody knew who you were, and you could hear whispers wherever you went. We'd go to the restaurant and hear whispers. They had us sleeping in the gymnasium,
Yeah.
and then we ended up in somebody's house in the basement.
Which was cool.
But what happened was we were at a grocery store getting gas, everything, and the girls that rode with us, these dudes made the deal. They jumped in the van, and they had been taught that the van was our home. The van was, our private area. And when this kid did, he got a switchblade put up to his throat. One girl had brass knuckles. The other one maced him. This was all in the middle of us getting gas. And next thing you know, we had no idea that that these girls
Maced?
got out of the van because they breaking and entering was the chief of police's son.
Well, sure.
And so they came and told us, looked me and Kerry in the eye and said, we're going to escort you to the hotel. You got
your
5
stuff.
minutes to gather your stuff up. And then we were in, what was it called? Winter, South Dakota. And they have a Dallas up there, too. You blink your eye, you'll miss it. But we were out of there in 5 minutes. We were out there in 5 minutes, kind of ran out of town,
This town was really cool, though, because underneath the town was the basement to all these shops and stuff they had on the main street. It was all nothing but gambling, illegal gambling. And for a month every year, they have this crop dusters airport where these Learjets will land. There'll be 50, 60 Learjets there, millionaires, and that's all they are, and they go there to gamble. And it's the opening of pheasant hunting. Now, they don't hunt for pheasant. They sell it in the store,
Right.
with the feathers.
They sell it at the bar.
It's still intact.
Oh, wow. So you can go
so they
home
can
with
take
a
them home to
pheasant.
their
Take it back
wife.
to your wife and say,
I got a pheasant.
I got 2 birds. But
And you actually did, but you got them in a store and
But
said,
the other thing that it had was, this was a generation thing of families.
Yeah.
You had the grandpa,
Yeah.
the son,
You had
the
5-year
grandson.
waiting list to get a hotel room.
I mean, and you never.
Motel room.
And here's the thing, like Kerry said, we're talking a crop duster landing field that landed some high-profile jets
Yeah.
on there. And
Big money.
we went there a couple of times because it wasn't a bar, it was a saloon.
Mm-hmm.
An old saloon.
Saloon/drugstore.
And,
A Western looking.
and it had no stages. You would have to dance, and then me or Kerry would have to lift them up and take them down. And I had me and him had 5 Crown Royal bags that we'd stuff their money down in the bags.
Big money.
And, I mean, it was, to me, it was brutal. It was, you got to remember, I did all this sober. Everywhere I went, I was sober. Every bar I went into, I was sober. So my eyes were wide open. But, to do it with my brother and to do it with the girls that we had, I mean, you ever been, story of my life, we're fixing to do a big show, and guess what? 2 people decide they're not going to go, or one may be so wasted that she can't go. It's just a matter of getting them in the van. Trying to leave during the daytime, forget about it. Leave at 1 or 2 in the morning, witching hour. But here's the other part: the reason why we had those suits, and the reason why we had those acts, and the reason why we had that music, is we could pull up at anywhere, at any time, at any bar, and pick up a girl, and put them in those suits, give them that music, and away they went.
Right.
And so, but what happened to us early on was we started with a group of girls, and we made a promo poster to send out to, if a band was coming, going on tour. And it got to the point where we'd show up, and we didn't have those girls on the picture, and it got pretty intense with the club owners, especially if they felt like it was just a way to where they could get out of paying you.
Right.
And so me and him came up with this idea, him more so than me, but we got, we used my dad's transmission shop.
Yeah.
And my brother had these custom Harleys that he was building at the time. And we put bikes and girls in there, but we did this classic poster of where we put them all their asses.
Mm-hmm. We laid them on the floor, of the transmission shop.
Put on their asses, put roses on them, and away we went. So, with that being said, once we send those posters out, then we they didn't know who was coming.
Right.
And so how we would do a promotion or a promo is buy the poster, get it signed, pick the girl's ass that's in it, because they'd always ask, hey, whose ass, which ass is in, which ass is this? Yeah. Oh, find it yourself. They're here.
That's really genius. That's really smart.
And so that got us out of
any contractual damage.
Yeah. Because then, but I mean, we had no book on how to do it.
No.
We had no idea of how we were going to do it. We just knew that point A to point B. The good thing about Kerry is Kerry being from rolling in bands back in the day with this band, what was it, FX?
Ecstatic.
And, so he was, back then, those kind of bands, he played clubs. And so you'd go in, you'd set the gear up. You'd be there for what, 5 days?
Yeah, 5 days. Mm-hmm.
And do 4 sets. And
four sets a night.
We took that model and made it into this model with these girls and all that. And you know what? We became well known.
Yeah.
We were asked. Yeah. We went to a lot of shows free, backstage. I mean, Ted Nugent was a big fan.
Yeah. Brother Kane.
Dwight Yoakam. I mean, at the Damn Yankees at the zoo, remember we had these girls wore Stars and Stripes bathing suits and held the American flag up,
right.
But then there were the bad times, I mean,
did those girls ever fight with each other?
No.
No, they never really fought with one another.
We wouldn't have
they would become real hard-headed, and we wasn't. This is where the idea come in. We wasn't afraid to leave anybody.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just have to truly leave them.
Now, what was the deal that one of the girls did where they tore the bill in half? What's that all about?
Well, one girl had her idea of doing promo and making money was she would go around to all these guys and tell them that let's take $100 bill and cut it in half, and at the end of the night you can find me. Yeah. You can have me.
I get half now and half
later.
Half
now and half later. And so me and Kerry, each night this would happen. The girl would get so wasted or whatever, but she'd have to wear my trench coat, or at the end of the night you'd have 6, 7 dudes. Hey man, I'm here to collect.
Yeah,
with a half a bill.
We'd have to dress them up like men and sneak them out.
That's awesome.
And so stuff like that. And then after Kerry left, I continued on. I became the MC. And
wait a minute, wasn't there more of the story than that? Wasn't it a Mexican bar and you didn't know how to speak Spanish?
Well, yeah. I mean,
isn't that kind of important to telling the story?
I can remember we were in Santa Fe, New Mexico one time, and I had booked into a bar. I had no idea that when I walked in the bar, it was total Mexican, and there was no English-speaking person in there. And so I had these 5 girls and myself, and they're like, what are you going to do, big boy? Well, how are you going to fix this one? So in my intriguing mind, I went out there, and the first thing I said was, does anybody in here know how to speak English?
Spanish.
And
English.
So a kid come up to me, and he knew how to speak English. And so I took him backstage, and I come up with this brilliant idea. I said, why don't I translate to you what I want you to say, and you could talk, and you'll do this whole show, and then at the end of the night, you can party with us.
You can be DJ for a day.
And so he loved the idea. He did it. It worked. It was a crazy night. But, it's like, improvise. Then there was one time I'll never forget. We got into doing old wrestling, and as this came on, me and Kerry, we ended up doing a lot of shows with those male dancers. Like there'd be rooms that they come up with an idea, what they call it, nut and bolt night.
Yeah, something like
and
that.
So the girls would get a what is it, screw?
A bolt.
A bolt.
Yeah, the girls would get a bolt, and the dudes would get nuts, and they'd put Visqueen down the middle. We're talking 1,000 people, 1,200, and we'd start our shows in sequence, and you'd have to be done by 10 p.m. And then they'd rip the fucking curtain down, and we did this in several places, and dude, it was like pure pandemonium meat market at the end of the night. I mean, it just, it just, seeing some of things like that was kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah, it was.
And where'd you say that was? In Missouri?
St. Joseph, Missouri.
Yes. Another dilemma that we had in St. Joseph's, Missouri. We had drove all that way up there. We blew a motor. Mm-hmm. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Blew a motor in the van. I ended up having to buy a green Suburban.
That's right. It was.
That was
That's
rusted, that you could see the ground. My dad was like, there were no rental cars. There was nothing. And so, to the road that we were on, if we didn't make a show, we didn't eat. We lost money.
Yeah.
And so we ended up buying a car, taking everything out of that van, going in this Suburban. It was ugly. and I think I paid like $5.50 for it. And we made it to the show. And so me and Kerry go up to the bar because we always like to go in there before we did the shows. And so we roll up to this bar, and there's like a hitching post, and
It was a hitching post.
and we're like in the country. I think we're like 2 or 3 miles from Iowa.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wait, an actual hitching post for a horse?
Well, the next thing, to make it even better, the next thing you know, a dude rides up on that with the horse.
Oh, come on.
And
and buy tickets.
And puts it on the hitching post, ties it to the hitching post, and goes inside and buys 2 tickets to the strip show.
Oh, wow.
And then rides back
And
wherever he
rides
went.
off.
Yeah.
And so me and Kerry look at one another like, whoa. So then we go.
This is going to be interesting.
We go in there. We go in there, and the girl's like, the owner, she doesn't look so hot. We're like, hey, we're the show. We're here. And she goes, oh man, Able Commission just came in here, Missouri Able Commission, and told me about what I can do and can't do, what y'all can do and can't do on the show. And the state of Missouri, you can't have any songs that are provocative, cussing. They got to be clean. And me and Kerry look at one another, and I'm thinking to myself, there goes our fucking show. The first song is "Let's Put the X in Sex."
Right.
And then she goes, oh, and by the way too, can't strip off naked. And we're looking here. We're getting ready to have to go back out here and tell those girls that, hey, we just came however many hundreds of miles for this.
And one thing I can tell you about strippers is that when you tell them not to do something like that, that's the first thing they're doing. They're stripping.
And so,
they're taking it off.
And
they're
so
going to do something illegal.
By him saying that and all that, we were kind of like, we knew we were doomed because we were going to jail in this town where a dude just rode up on a horse and bought a ticket.
Yeah.
Is this before or after the Barney Fife incident?
That was around the same time.
Same time.
Sure. We had
Two different states.
We had a string that was like, just weird show things. And so, me and Kerry like scratch our head what we're going to do. Then he comes up with the idea that we make every girl put on all the clothes they brought, all the acts, and we're just going to be like burlesque and take it up a little bit down to one
outfit, one costume.
And so we do the first set hard. I mean, nobody clapping, nobody, it's like, and the Able Commission just waiting, to do whatever they're going to do. And so we get through this first set because we always did 2 sets. And in the middle was when we'd take a showtime and things like that. Yeah. And so we didn't get to take one that night, but the lady, we all hover back in the what little dressing room they have where they get you people, they give us a kitchen,
like a stock
closet,
room or something.
whatever. And so she comes back all, we're all bummed out. She's like, I tell you what I'm going to do. They're leaving Naval Commission. We're making an announcement. We're getting ready to have a lock-in.
A lock-in.
And your next set is going to be however you want because we're locking everybody in. And it ain't going to end until y'all say it's over.
Yeah.
And we're
Nobody
like,
could get in.
No one's
Nobody
in,
get out.
no one goes out.
okay, we were back in business,
Yeah.
And then we went to somewhere in Iowa.
I forget the name of that place.
We went to some rock bar in Iowa where the crowd was dead. But we always managed to pick up some people that either had something to do or didn't mind private party. So these people are telling us, hey, there's a sheriff's convention over here at this golf and country club. Why don't y'all quit y'all show and we'll come over here and pay you? And, it was like, so we go over there, and these people were absolutely insane.
The sheriff?
It's different when it's for their entertainment.
Well,
Did they get those dollar bills in the air?
they had more than dollar bills in the air,
Oh, wow.
So, and then, it got to the point where with the dolls that just things wasn't happening. Kerry had left. The girls became a little bit darker. And I don't mean by darker, just their demons and things were coming out. And, it became not fun anymore.
Right.
The adventure kind of had wore off, but so I started this little oil wrestling thing, thinking that's going to be better. And so I'll never forget, I decided to do an oil wrestling show at this bar called JR's in Ardmore, Oklahoma, by Lake Murray. And I took these two dudes with me, Greg Snake and Rick Berg, as my roadies.
Iceberg and Snake. Wow.
And so we roll up to this bar, and, it was show as usual. We're going to do oil wrestling. So we did two things. First one was a meet and greet where we'd come out, they danced around, selling raffle tickets, selling T-shirts off their body. It was wild. And, it was one of those nights where you're going, this is going to be badass. And so we go to the second part of the show. And right before I start, the lights come on. And during the intermission, some people had left. Lights come on, and 3/4 of that bar had badges of all types.
It's like the Hollywood Knockout night.
Kind of like, 17 violations and that. You remember that, Kerry, at the Yucatan liquor stand?
Oh, yeah.
birthday?
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Were you doing the same type of show?
huh?
Were you doing the same type of show?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much
It was the
so.
exact same type of show as the Yucatan. And what happened was they stopped it. Rick and Snake, the roadies, had seen it before, so they were laying in the van. Cops are everywhere looking the whole bit. They never saw them. They end up transporting the girls to jail. The patrons that wasn't cops, they put them all in the van and put me last in this van on the way to jail. And I'm, and they're telling me, man, my wife is going to kill me. I shouldn't have been here, or I've spent my money and I don't know what I'm going. Now I'm in jail, and
It's all your fault,
and and I'm riding going, man. This is not good. And so then they get us in the cell, and they keep going on about it, and they're like, and my one go-to guy, my father, no matter if I'm bad, good, whatever, you know, just you got that one phone call, so you better make it right. You know, as much as he hated on it, he said, "Hang in there, we'll get you out." Because before me, Rick and Snake were already on the hook. They're telling him, and so the night goes on, and they're like, "Hey, you know." It gets out. I'm thinking to myself, these guys are going to come at me. And I told them, they're like, we should just kick your ass. And I said, well, that's cool. A couple of y'all are going to get beat up. But I know, I mean, kind of like I could take a punch, Danzig. And so.
But you weren't careful then.
And so the jailer thought it was better for me to have my own cell than it was to mingle. And so
the locals were going to take you out.
Yeah, they were going to take me out. So
because it's all your fault they were there.
Right. And you know,
Nice.
I mean, hey, think about it.
You corrupted the whole town?
What if you were married and you went out with some people after work and you spent the rent money on strippers?
Well, too bad, so sad. That's on you.
Wasn't me.
Right, well, right.
I mean, but you know,
But it was getting hostile.
But anyway,
It was getting hostile in the cell, huh?
They didn't see it that way. And so, as it went on, so then the next morning comes, man, and you know, they get me out of the cell and all that, and they're like, "Hey, how did you sleep?" I'm like, "Fuck, dude, I slept pretty good." You know, I'm thinking to myself, knowing I'll spring out of here in a little bit. But then they told you had to go for arraignment. Arraignment was all the people that got arrested that were with me, that were there. Plus, you're on a chain gang, walking down the street.
You were on a chain gang?
Yes, Ardmore, Oklahoma. They put me with the big black dude who was robbing and he going to prison for life. So they chained me to this dude, and we're walking down the street.
That was on purpose.
We're walking down the street. I don't care what it was. He's talking about running. I'm talking about tripping his big ass and laying on top of him because I want to get the fuck out of here. I don't want to be in jail.
God, I wish there was a photo of this.
So
Video. We need video.
Videos. This would be great.
So we get arraigned. I get at they're out. The girls are all out there. The van's there. We're back in business and on our way back home. So whenever the law came down to like, okay, what are you getting arrested for? But in the meantime, the two dudes that were hiding in my van, the roadies, once the dust cleared, they went inside that bar, and the owners thought they had seen a ghost. What had happened was the owners set me up to avoid an Able Commission fine and everything, but the case was real dirty, you know. So they were not only were they able to gather up all our stuff. Rick's pretty big. Yeah. He got paid. I got my money. But when it come time to do the trial, well, they let the girls go, let them off. The law, my brother had a lawyer. He was living with these guys that are going to OCU. They become lawyers. The guy's name is Burt Reynolds, and
what a great name.
Yeah.
Well, he's a wrestler for OU too. He's a great dude. Rest in peace. But he took my case fresh out of OCU. Found the law the law had been written in 1907 for pimping and pandering.
Were you pimping or pandering?
They said both.
Oh wow!
But how I beat the case was when they let those girls go. They had no case because if they didn't charge them, he said you can't charge my client, and you know that was the beginning of the end, so to speak. You know,
So you're found not guilty of being a pimp. Is that what that boils down to?
Yes.
In one court.
In one court.
So then, you know, my mom is very dear to me. She got to where she would go, and you always knew when, you know, she laid this on me, son, I don't want to tell you this, but the rate you're going, you're going to end up in prison for doing a lot of stupid stuff. You know, and I'm like, and that really hit home to me. It's like, you know, because
Well, didn't your dad say the same thing?
yes, and I got harassed in Louisiana. We got, you know, this thing right here was just
The pimp and pandering?
insane. Yeah, it was, you know, because it really was a
And
setup.
then you had Barney Fife.
Then you had Barney Five.
Oh, there was several more incidents.
You know, we had another one.
Junction City.
Junction City, Kansas. I don't know what it was with Kerry.
It wasn't me.
What did you do,
But
Kerry?
It wasn't me.
We're at this bar, Junction City, and it's a military town. It's all military.
We've been there 10 times.
And, you know,
probably.
we had been there and done good. And the lady, the lady that owned the bar, what was she, like, Oriental?
She was Asian.
Asian.
lady.
So anyway, Kerry made the comment of,
I just told you. I whispered to you.
He whispered to me in this room.
I said, "Man, this bar smells like
man,
shit."
This bar smells like shit.
And it did. It smelled like
and
sewer.
This lady came out of nowhere, like, kicked the fucking door
Wanted to
down.
kill me. Wanted to
Nobody
fight
see
me.
my boss smell like shit.
Yeah, wanted to fight me. And I'm like, hey,
She's
hey.
listening to you on
You guys get out.
She-
You come back
I
here
mean,
no
she-
more. You say my bar smell like shit.
She backed me into the women's restroom coming after me. Yeah. I'm like, hey, don't be mad at me.
I mean, a little lady.
You don't say
she
my bar
was
smell like
pissed.
shit. Oh, man.
I mean, she
Then
was
we
pissed.
were told, got back to the hotel room, and she had called and canceled it
Kicked us
because they
out.
had made all the reservations. So we had to get all of our stuff and leave. Yeah, that was nice of her.
Another one, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
just things like that. And, you know, the dolls, and we had made it to the point where somebody had approached me at the time to do HBO Real Sex. And I talked to guy, and it was, we wanted to do, we didn't want to do the glamorous side of the stage. I mean, because I wanted to do a documentary on what me and Kerry went through to make it to that stage. You know?
And HBO would pay for that?
Huh?
And you were going to have HBO?
The guy was very interested. I was, you know, it came down to they were going to go on the road with us, and we went to Muscle Shows, Alabama was the last show I ever done with the Midnight Dolls.
Where Leonard Skinner recorded.
Where Leonard Skinner was from. I went to Muscle Shows studio.
Yeah,
I
a lot
went
of
to the
people
Hit
recorded
Music
there.
Factory. I mean, it was something we really looked forward to going to. But the whole thing, you know, it truly is, you can see, it's kind of like when you're in a band and you know that it's over.
Mm-hmm.
You know that it's done. It's kind of like how this whole podcast has been. You've got your highs, you've got your lows, you know, you've got, you know, you've
Beginning and ends.
and so it truly was the end of the Dolls.
Yeah. A lot of fun, man. A lot of good memories.
I mean,
Some funny memories. A lot of funny memories.
you know, the things about it would be we sometimes girls would need stage names, and it's like, okay, me and Kerry driving down the highway one day, and this new girl, and Kerry's like, hey man, I think we should call her name should be Serena. And you know what, she had to have a last name. So I'm looking out the window and I see Lake. I'm like, what do we call her? Serena Lakes. And it's stuck.
So what other names did you have?
Well, I had fellatio, but I couldn't get any of them to go with it.
Well, Max, when we get back for episode 16, we will go back to 1995 and pick up where we left off.
Yes, and then we'll carry on. Bye.